The Locky two-step and Locky Trinity came through for us last time around at UFC Shanghai as Rong Zhu and Aljamain Sterling did the damn thing for us to cash our minus 109 ticket. And then Gage Young brought it on home for us in the Locky Trinity and helped us cash a plus 233 ticket as well. So let's see if we can keep that trend rolling here for UFC Paris, but this one's going to be a little bit sketchier for a lot of people. I know a lot of people think that, hey, they come to this free parlay and like it's for sure gonna hit. I usually try to pick the best spots and try to weigh the odds against my confidence level in some of these spots. And there's some picks here that I feel quite confident about, but in terms of popularity, may not be up there. So whether you want to tail or take some parts of this parlay and plug in your own parlay, it's up to you. But I'm going to stick with my guns here and stick with my confidence and hope to cash us another free parlay. So let's get right into it. The first step in the Locky two-step is going to be Losine Keita, who makes his UFC debut here as the OKTAGON MMA champion as he takes on Patricio Pitbull. Now, I think Keita is just a younger, faster, stronger, more powerful version of Patricio Pitbull, and he has good durability. I think his ability to see shots coming will be very helpful for him here, but I think it's going to be that speed and power that ends up paying off for him, and I think he just continuously lands big shots on Pitbull until he eventually puts him away. Again, Pitbull, very low volume, and he utilized the threat of his power against Dan Ige last time around, but I'd be very surprised if Keita allows that to muzzle his own offense here. Keita knows he throws with more power, and if he can force Pitbull into a little bit of a gunfight, the speed, accuracy, and power of Keita will eventually pay off for him, and I think he comes through with flying colors here, which is why I'll trust him as the first step in the Locky two-step. The second step is going to be in the main event with Caio Borralho going up against Nasruddin Imavov. Imavov is dangerous, has some good striking, and might technically be the better striker, but the game planning, execution, and just all-around advantage from Borralho should allow him to go out there and win at least 4 out of the 5 rounds. I expect him to counter-strike well. I expect him to keep good activity to keep Imavov thinking and continuously disrupt his rhythm with his striking approach. And then when Imavov is not expecting, I'm expecting Borralho to start getting those takedowns and start wearing Imavov down from that top position. So there's plenty of ways for Borralho to win this fight. And I know a lot of people love themselves some Imavov here, but I think Borralho is the overall better fighter. I know he has the perfect game plan to execute this year, and he has the perfect style to complement that game plan to go out there and get the win. So I'm going to go Borralho as the second step in the Locky two-step. Now, earlier this week, I plugged in this parlay for the Lock of the Night Patreon folks, and they were able to get plus 164. There's been actually a little bit of action on Imavov, which has now brought this parlay up to plus 168. Locky Trinity, it's kind of been the opposite, where I'm actually going to go in the co-main event. I'm going to go against the Fighting Nerds, and I'm going to go with Benoit Saint Denis, who I think is the far superior grappler to Houfi, which is what I've been told is how you pronounce it. And I think we're going to see the issues that Houfi had in his Contender Series fight come back to haunt him here as he faces the most smothering and dominant grappler he's faced in a long time. I get it. Houfi is entertaining, gives us some highlight reel knockouts, very fun to watch, but when he's going to be the one forced to be on his back foot and forced to carry the weight of BSD, that's where we've seen Houfi start to slow down, just like he did in the James Lontop fight. And I think even if the fight reaches that far, which I don't think it will, I think BSD will take even more control there. But I think this fight finishes within 1.5 rounds. And I think it looks like BSD eventually getting the back of Houfi and eventually finding that submission and forcing the tap there. So underdog is the third spot in the Locky Trinity here. And again, my confidence matched up with the odds. That's how I'm making this. I'm not just going to go out there and parlay all the chalky favorites here and just say, hey, this is the spot. I don't want to do that. I want some of these to be somewhat risky, and at least give the payoff that I'm hoping for. And that's exactly what Saint Denis does here, and even Borralho. So this 3-leg parlay earlier this week, I was able to get plus 612 on this Locky Trinity, which is the number I'll be using for tracking purposes. But with all the love coming in on BSD over the last couple of days, this parlay has now dropped to plus 570. Take it for what you will. All right. Make sure you guys check out the LFA breakdown that I dropped earlier today for the card that takes place on Friday. I have track plays for that on the Lock of the Night Patreon page as well. And I'll be back tomorrow for the prop drop for UFC Paris, where I briefly go over every single matchup and give you my favorite props from each one. All right, I'll see you guys then. Peace.